So I kind of made a deal with myself that I would try to upload at least once or twice a week, because I really do want to make more YouTube videos, and I just want to make more content because I think I'll find it exciting to do different videos, but I want to be motivated to make videos. And I thought to myself, the best motivation is actually doing things that I enjoy and talking about things that I enjoy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do videos just talking and about movies that I like and movies that I've watched and movies that I've seen recently or movies that I've seen in the past. So I'm going to start and I'm going to talk about a movie that I saw in the cinema recently, and it is called The Life of Chuck. It's probably not out anymore, but I saw it a few months ago. And it's based on a Stephen King novel of the same name. And it's a really interesting film. I would probably score it on terms of level of movie about 6.8 or a 7 out of 10. It's about a 39-year-old man, I believe. By the way, spoilers, about his life and about his journey from kid to adult. Unfortunately, he dies at the end of the film, quite an early age, 39. But it's really unique because the film is in reverse. So we start off at the end of his life, and then it goes to the beginning of his life. It's a really unique way of telling the story. But initially in the film, you don't realize that it's at the beginning of his life. The format of the film and the style of storytelling is completely different. I walked into the cinema when I watched it, and I thought to myself, wait, am I even watching the film that I was supposed to be in here for? This is completely different. I've been duped. Not in a bad way, but it was a completely different film. The initial beginning was about global warming. Like, the themes of the beginning were about sort of global warming and environmental destruction. But you realize in the film, when it goes to the second chapter, because the film is separated into 3 parts, that it's the first part of the film is a projection of his mind. And basically at the beginning of the film, his mind basically collapses in on itself because he's about to die. But everyone he's met, everyone he's known, everything he's known is in his mind at the beginning of the film, and then it all falls apart. But as you see the film, it's a very beautiful story, and all the encounters that he has, all the people he meets, it shows that it made an impact on him. And there are 3 elements I'd like to discuss. So first of all, he has an interaction with his teacher at school, and she kind of opens his mind to this idea that she references a poem by Walt Whitman. And basically that one of the lines in the poems is that Walt Whitman, or the person, contains multitudes, contains so many parts of themselves, so many things. There's a huge ocean and tapestry of knowledge and information and passion and ideas, and each individual contains multitudes. And I thought that's just a really powerful idea, that we are a sum of so many things, and a sum of so much richness and so much like culture and beauty that we don't even realize. Secondly, he has an interaction with his grandfather at the end of the film, and his grandfather kind of steers him away from following his passions and following his dream of dancing, and he steers him and encourages him to become an accountant, which he ends up doing, and he ends up dying at 39 being an accountant. He has a nice family, he's loved and he's happy, but the kind of message behind the film is kind of unclear as to whether the film or the story thinks that's a good thing or thinks it's a bad thing. I guess it's up to your interpretation. But the grandfather was really strong about Chuck going into accountancy rather than following his passions. And it just kind of makes one reflect about how we make our choices, whether we do it because we think it's right or because someone else thinks it's right. It's just interesting. And lastly, something in the second chapter, so the middle chapter, is basically a sequence where Chuck is in the street and he kind of gets into an encounter where he ends up dancing in front of everyone with another lady, and there's a drummer, and it's a really, really fun, whimsical interaction. But at the beginning of that chapter, Chuck is having a sort of internal dialogue with himself, and he's speaking about how he accepts that as one gets older, there's a narrowing of life and a narrowing of choices, and things become smaller and you're able to move in less open ways and you'll have less choices and less opportunities. And I thought that was kind of an interesting and a bit of a scary idea, that as we age, like, life narrows. But Chuck didn't have a problem with that. He kind of had an acceptance of the narrowing of life, which was also quite an interesting concept. So essentially, I've spoken a bit about this film. I just found it really thought-provoking and really unique in how the story was told, and I recommend it to anyone who is patient for different ways of presenting information or stories, but is also someone who is quite self-reflective. I thought it was a good film. It wasn't a great film, but I thought it was really good, and I enjoyed it very much. So yeah, that's my review, Life of Chuck, and I will be doing more film reviews and film discussions. So yeah, stay tuned for more.